All right. Good morning. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode, another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. If you missed Wednesday's show, I did have a pretty exciting announcement where after the Super Bowl, we're going to add a Monday live stream. So starting next week, we're going to be live at the same time every day, 11 a.m. Well, not every day, live at 11 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So again, if you missed that, I just appreciate everybody who's been tuning in to these live streams because this wouldn't have happened if people weren't watching. So I appreciate everybody who has been tuning in, everybody who's been commenting and stuff like that. Speaking of the comments, I do look at the chat periodically. So if you have anything, any questions, any comments, anything like that, feel free to put them in the chat and I will make sure to get there. As for today, not a great Friday slate. I'm guessing it's because post-trade deadline that was just yesterday. Only have 6 games. A lot of trade designation, TBD, a lot of injury stuff. But I do have a 10-pick day, 10-pick card for you guys. And we will be risking 5.5 units. So I got 1 half-unit play and a couple leans as well. Unfortunately, yesterday was not one of our better days. Sometimes I come on these streams and I talk about how we had horrible luck. That was not the case with Wednesday. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it was bad luck. It was just a bad night. It was the stream itself wasn't terrible. We were down about 2 units. Just personally, one of the worst nights I've had in a while. Unfortunately, that does happen. It brought our total profit back in the red. I hate that. Hopefully, we can get this forward. I'm very confident that we're going to have success moving forward, get ourselves back into the green today. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel if you are not already. And then for this specific stream, share it with your friends, right? We're starting on Monday after the Super Bowl. Everyone's going to want to dive into some NBA bangers. So let's share this with your friends, get in front of many people as possible. Then you can find me at all my social medias at my handle you see on the screen here at Jedi Modi. And enough of that. Let's get into today's picks. So as I mentioned, a couple leans, a couple games where we're going to have multiple picks. Our first one, and this is just going to be a lean, but this is in the Hawks 76ers game, I should say. And we're taking the Hawks minus 2.5. This is best offered at minus 112 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. Or I believe if you want to get it for a little bit better odds at minus 3, that is what DraftKings is offering, as you can see on the screen here. Yes, Dex, let's bounce back. I like the slate itself is brutal, but I like the picks that we chose for the slate, I should say. This first one, like I said, this is just a lean, but we are taking the Hawks. The Hawks have been one of the worst teams against the spread the entire year, but they've actually been playing pretty well recently. And the real reason why we're on this play is because the Sixers have just been terrible, right? They've been awful, and they barely even have a team to take the court, right? Obviously, Embiid's out. He's going to be out. He's going to be out for a while. But then you have Nicholas Batum is out. D'Anthony Melton is out, their best guard defender. Batum's their best wing defender. Robert Covington is out. And then the 2 guys they traded for, Buddy Hield and Cam Payne, are currently listed as TBD. I would be shocked if they played a day after getting traded. Normally it takes at least a couple days. And then obviously the guys they traded away are playing for different teams now. That would be Patrick Beverley, Marcus Morris, and Furkan Korkmaz. So it's just a skeleton crew that they have out here for the Sixers. And they're not the Grizzlies. Like the Grizzlies have had a skeleton crew all year and have actually managed to play pretty well. Not necessarily win a ton of games, but they've covered a lot of spreads. Sixers are 1-7 in their last 8 games, and only one of their losses was even close. And that was the game against the Nuggets where Embiid was ruled out like 10 minutes before the game. So the Nuggets just didn't have the energy. Every other game, they've mostly been blown out. Home, away, doesn't matter. The Sixers have just been getting smoked recently. So it's really, really hard to have faith in them to do anything. I really like Nick Nurse. I think he's a creative coach, but you kind of need your roster in order to be creative and stuff. The reason why we're leaving it as a lean A is because trusting the Hawks on the entire season has not been fruitful. And for whatever reason, it seems like the sharps are on the Sixers on this one, right? Like the spread opened up at +4. It got bet down to +3, +2.5, depending on where you look. But I mean, so if you're following the sharp money, that would suggest the Sixers would be a play. I just can't get there. I think the Hawks are way, way better play. So I mean, I do think that they're a pretty good play. If you wanted to put the full unit on them, I wouldn't blame you in the slightest. Next up, actually going to have another pick in this game. We're actually going to have 2 more picks in this game. 2 that I actually do like, and we are risking units on. Tobias Harris over 22.5 points, best offered at -118 odds per the Betting Pros consensus, or you can see what DraftKings is offering it on the screen here. This is also a play that I'm going to go ahead and ladder up to 30 plus points. I believe last I checked, you can get that at plus 310 odds. I put about a third of a unit on that one, basically a third of a unit to win about a unit. It's kind of like backing Tobias, backing the Sixers, backing Tobias can be a little bit scary as he's inconsistent as a scorer. But this should be a smash play for Tobias in this game against the Hawks. I already mentioned how there's nobody left on the Sixers roster who can score. It's really just Tyrese Maxey. I mentioned Embiid's out for a while, then it's Melton, it's Batum, it's Covington, it's the guys they traded for, and the guys they traded away. Does not leave a lot of people left to play for the Sixers, which means a lot of Tobias ISOs in this game, which is grotesque from a viewing experience, but he has shown the ability to score when it's basically Tobias doing his 14-second mid-range pump fakes and jab steps at the mid-range. It's not pretty, but he can jab step his way to 23, 25 points. This is also a really, really good matchup against the Hawks. They're a terrible defense overall, and they're a terrible defense specifically at guarding forwards as well. They're the third best matchup in the NBA when it comes to small forwards, in terms of small forward point props, I should say. And they're the second best matchup for power forward point props as well. Tobias might end up playing the 4 with Embiid out, but regardless, he's going to be playing the 3 or the 4, and he's going to have a great matchup to do so. If you dig a little bit deeper, even more so than just the positions, but how Tobias scores, the Hawks are allowing the second most points per game to someone of his scoring profile, the most points per game to someone of his playmaking style, and the 9th most to his shooting profile. So across the board, looks like a juicy matchup. In 3 games this year against the Hawks, Tobias has he's cashed this over in 2 of those 3 games, scoring 29 and 32 points in the 2 games that he went over. Maxey definitely has the highest usage rate when Embiid's not on the floor. Tobias is second, and the player who's third is DeAnthony Melton, who's also out for this game. So again, it's not going to look pretty, but the watchability of Tobias has got to be like in the bottom percentile of the NBA. But he can get us to 20, 25, 30 points, even if it looks gross. So that's our second play, our first unit risked. Next up, same game. I'm taking Trae Young under 10.5 assists. This is best offered at plus 110 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. This one, it's going to sound scary because it's, taking an assist under for Trae Young, who has, I think, the second highest potential assists per game in the NBA. As I already mentioned for the third time now, skeleton crew for the Sixers, including their best on-ball guard defender in DeAnthony Melton. So I actually see this as a game where Trae Young is probably just going to waltz to the basket and have a lot more opportunities to score than assist. So I could also see this being an over for Trae Young points. I think the better value in what we're sticking with here is the assists, but again, the points is a good play as well. On the year, Trae is averaging about 11 assists per game, and he's gone over in 26 of 46 games. So when you just look at those 2 stats, you're like, well, why are you on his under? The reason why is there's a couple reasons. I already mentioned the roster for the Sixers and how nobody's playing. And there's no Clint Capella. That takes away a lob threat, someone that he gets a lot of assists to Clint Capella just from running the pick and roll and throwing up the lob. Not that Onyeka Okongwu or other guys aren't also lob threats. It just takes one away. And over the past 2 years, Trae Young has played 16 games without Capella. He's only gone over 10.5 assists in 6 of those 16 games, and he's averaging just under 10 assists in those 16 games as well. DeJounte Murray is also questionable, and the logic would suggest that if DeJounte Murray's out, that would just mean higher usage rate and more assists for Trae Young. That also means one less person for him to get assists too. And you might be surprised to hear this, but he actually has it. He passes to DeJounte Murray and has the most passes that lead to assists to DeJounte Murray. And if Capella and Murray miss, that's a total of 3 assists per game, which doesn't sound like a lot, but 3 on an over-under of 10.5. That's almost 30% that he's missing if both Capella and Murray miss. Even if Murray does play, I would still like this under for Trae Young. That would just be a bonus. So we're 3 picks deep. A couple of questions here. Fox over 7.5 rebounds, assists. I do have a play on Fox. It's not that. I think that I did see some people on his over assists. I didn't really look into it that much. What's the best website to research team frequency and efficiency percentages? Any suggestions? Honestly, Betting Pros has not necessarily those advanced stats, but they have a lot of, we're going to get into the Betting Pros app, but they have a lot of, their prop bet cheat sheet gives you a lot of information, like how often a player goes over or under, what their EV is and stuff like that. And if you're really looking for like advanced stats, honestly, NBA.com is phenomenal in terms of how they give out their stats. So that's where I use a lot of sources. It's just strictly from NBA.com. Anyways, we're 3 picks deep. Now is the perfect time to talk to you about the Betting Pros Discord. So if you're looking to up your game in sports betting, look no further than the Discord community at Betting Pros, bettingpros.com/chat. Link to that is in the description of the video as well. In the Discord, Betting Pros has gathered a team of expert handicappers giving you free picks, whatever sport you're looking for. There's only one NFL game left. You can get free picks for that. NFL, NBA, college basketball, NHL, soccer, golf, whatever you're looking for, you can find in the Betting Pros Discord. Player props, live betting, futures. You can get it on the action, connect with individuals like yourselves who are, I'm assuming, sports betting enthusiasts. You can elevate your own strategy as well. Join us today. Take your sports betting experience to the next level. bettingpros.com/chat. 5 picks deep. Let's get to our, 3 picks deep. Let's get to our 4th. You'll see why I said 5 in just a second. This is in the Wizards versus Celtics game. Taking Deni Avdija under 12.5 points, minus 104 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. This is a 5-star, there you see the 5-star positive expected value play. This is one that I did find directly from the Betting Pros app, and I absolutely love this one. I think it's an awesome play. Betting Pros projects Deni to score about 10.8 points in this one. That's almost 2 full points below the over-under that we're taking. Obviously, we're taking under 12.5. It's about 1.7 point difference. And the lower the numbers get, actually becomes a pretty big deal in terms of the bigger the gap between the Betting Pros projections and what the over-under is, right? Like Giannis's over-under is 34.5. From 34.5 to 32.5 is not as big of a deal as 12.5 to 10.5, right? So the lower the numbers get, the bigger the gap and how meaningful the gap becomes. Betting Pros gives Avdija a 67% chance of going under. And overall, this is a 31.4 positive expected value play. Really, really good play from an EV perspective. I also like it, excuse me, I also like it as a matchup play, fading Avdija as well against the Celtics. The Celtics, awesome defense, very good wing defenders, very good protecting the paint as well. Really the only area in which the Celtics defense, I'm not even going to call it weak because it's kind of by design, is guards and guards who can pull up, which is not Avdija. Now, I admit Avdija has been playing a little bit better offensively recently, but I like fading him in this one. The Celtics allow the 7th fewest points per game to someone of Deni's shooting profile, the 9th fewest to his scoring profile, and the 8th fewest to his playmaking style. So yeah, not quite like bottom percentile, but still pretty good in bottom 10 in all 3 of those categories. So I like fading Deni in this one. I think it's a really good play. Obviously, this is a 1-unit play that we are taking. Next up, this is our 5th play. This is in the Rockets versus Raptors, and I'm taking Thompson over 13.5 rebounds plus assists. This is best offered at plus 106 odds. I normally don't dive a ton into these combo markets, rebounds, assists, points, rebounds, whatever that may be. But this is a really, really good play. So obviously I went with it. This is another full unit play. And this is a situation where you can't just look at his entire season results and make decisions based off of that. Because if you do that, yeah, I will admit it doesn't look pretty. The reason why we are on this play is because of no Fred VanVleet, right? Fred VanVleet's only missed 2 games. So yeah, small sample size. But in those 2 games, Thompson has played 32 and 34 minutes. That is over a 10-minute difference between his average. It's the only 2 games this year in which he's played over 30 minutes, and his average is 21 minutes per game. So it's literally 11 and 13 minutes over his season average. So it's a play because of his increased playing time with Fred VanVleet out. And in those 2 games, he has just crushed this over. He had 19 in his last game against the Pacers. He had 6 assists and 13 rebounds. And then in the first game that Fred VanVleet missed, which was back in January against the Celtics, so pretty tough matchup, Amen Thompson had 14 rebounds and 5 assists. So he's crushed the rebounds number, almost clearing it with rebounds alone with 13 and 14, obviously getting double digits in both of those games. We'll get into the double digit. That is significant. We'll get into that in just a second. But this is also a specific matchup where I really would want to target his assists as well. So that's why I combined the rebounds plus assists. I like his assists from a matchup perspective, and I like the fact that he's gotten a ton of rebounds without Fred VanVleet, and mostly just because of the increased playing time. Increased playing time. So combining the two for plus money, I think is really, really good. So to highlight on the assists for a second, because I did say I like that matchup. So the Raptors defense, they've just taken a complete downfall since the trades, right? The OG Anunoby trade, the Pascal Siakam trade, their defense has been terrible. And and just looking at his playmaking style, Amen Thompson, the Raptors give up the most assists per game to someone of Amen Thompson's playmaking profile. And again, in the 2 games that Fred VanVleet's missed, he's had 6 assists and 5 assists. His over-under is 5.5, so I kind of like his over 5.5 assists as well. If you really wanted to get spicy, DraftKings is offering 8+ assists for, I think, plus 390, plus 400, something like that, or 10+ assists at plus 1,000. I'm never going to talk anybody out of getting really spicy. But the official play here is the rebounds plus assists. Next up, same game, same player, similar market. Amen Thompson double-double. This is best offered at plus 230 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. And I think this is a really, really good price. I think DraftKings is giving it to us, and I would still take it at this number depending on how things change at plus 190. Really around the plus 200 range is, and plus 190 is close enough. It's where I would take it. I think it's a really, really good value on Amen Thompson to get a double-double. I already mentioned a ton about why I like backing his rebounds and assists. It's in the rebounds specifically, as I mentioned, he would have gotten a double-double in both games, or he not would have. He did get a double-double, so he would have cashed this for us in both games that Fred VanVleet's missed. First game against the Celtics, 15 points, 14 rebounds. Last game against the Pacers, 13 points, 13 rebounds. And as I previously mentioned, I think this is an excellent matchup for assists as well. So I like him to record a double-double, mostly from points and rebounds. I also separately like his assists as well. So if you really wanted to get silly, and this is about as silly as it gets, you could take Amen Thompson triple-double at plus 3,100. Again, that's a little bit crazy. Or you could just go the safer route, like I mentioned, the 8+ assists and the 10+ assists as well. I really don't hate any of the options that I gave out. Obviously, the official plays that will be tracked are the rebounds and assists and the double-double. But really, any way in which you want to back Amen Thompson, I don't think is a bad play. I've had a lot of success with these ladder plays in the past. Not immediately, like the past 2 days haven't been great, but we cashed ladder plays both on Monday and Tuesday. So I think that you could get a lot of value depending on how you want to back Amen Thompson. So we're halfway done. We're 5 picks deep. Perfect time to talk to you about the Betting Pros app, which I've already hinted at a bunch of times. bettingpros.com/apps. Number one, the number one reason why I use it and how I use it the most is the prop bet cheat sheet. Find Betting Pros recommended picks based on the over-under that the sports books are offering, along with the Betting Pros projections as well. You can sort just by highest percent of positive expected value. That's how I found the Deni Avdija play. It was a pretty high 5-star positive EV play. You can also sort by win percentage, which I like to do. A lot of these sports books, and DraftKings does it the most, offers some sort of risk-free same-game parlay profit boost, something like that. Well, if you want to find safer legs to put into a parlay, just sort the Betting Pros cheat sheet by the win percentage. Take plays with the highest percent chance of winning according to Betting Pros. Or, and this is what I do personally for ladder plays, sort by biggest difference between the sportsbooks over-unders and the Betting Pros projections. Find plays in which you can ladder for juicy odds. You can follow me. I log in all the picks that I can on the Betting Pros app, bettingpros.com/modice, where you can find my profile. A link to that and to the app itself is in the video as well. You can also get a free trial to the Betting Pros premium offering. So if you download the app, you can get access to a free trial of the premium offering. We're also running a giveaway for that, which I will mention in just a second here. But if you want to get a free trial, you can also do that via the app. And then you can sync all your bets or sync all your sports books through the Betting Pros app as well. Just log in, give your credentials, and then it syncs all your information for you, profit, loss, win-loss, all that stuff, which is really helpful information to have as a sports bettor. All that stuff is available via the app. So I definitely recommend downloading it. I have it myself and I use it all the time. All right. We are, like I said, 5 picks deep. We're halfway done. Or is it 6? I already lost count. I think it's 6, actually. Next up, this is in the Hornets versus Bucks game. Giannis over 7.5 assists plus 110 odds is the best offered price per the Betting Pros consensus line. I really like this play. The only reason why I'm leaving it as a lean is just because there are a ton of injury and TBD designations, mostly on the Hornets side, but also on the Bucks side with Dame Lillard, who missed last night. He's questionable as well. Games that have this much uncertainty, I think it's really, really hard to bet on them and consistently make money doing so. So I generally like to avoid them with actual money risked. If you're just talking about the play itself and the matchup, this is an excellent, excellent play on Giannis to go over 7.5 assists. And it's kind of funny because I was on his under assist yesterday, and that was the only play that I got to cash. So if you follow the shorts that I've been doing for Betting Pros, that was the one of the 3 plays that we got to cash. But as for today, I like doing the opposite of that and betting on his over. I will admit, we did get it to cash. We got a little bit lucky cashing Giannis's under yesterday. He had 7 assists, so we got hooked in a good way. But he only played 27 minutes. Like, he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter, and he barely played in the third quarter as well because the game ended up being a blowout. And the reason why I was under in that game is because it was a tough matchup against the Timberwolves. That is not at all the case against the Hornets. And the fact that the Bucks are on a back-to-back doesn't scare me off because, as I just mentioned, he played limited minutes in yesterday's game. In the last 4 games, Giannis has had 10, 13, 6, and 7 assists. So he's gone under in 2 of 4, over in 2 of 4. I like the fact that in the 2 games where he crushed his over, the 10 and the 13, those are in easy matchups where you would have wanted to target Giannis assists, Mavericks and Jazz, especially the Jazz matchup. And that's when he had 13. Now, as I've mentioned a bunch of times now, very, very juicy matchup against the Hornets. They have really no interior presence at all. Yeah, that might lend itself to Giannis points, but we've actually seen situations where it leads more to assists than it does to points. You see how teams over the course of the season have started to guard Giannis. They just wall off the paint. They crowd him in the paint, and they just beg him to give the ball to someone else. And he's, to his credit, he's generally more than happy to do so. Like I said, yesterday he had 7 assists in limited minutes. We've seen him rack up a ton of assists in other situations where this has happened, where the defense has played him this way. And kind of with that thought in mind, the Hornets are allowing the 2nd most assists per game to someone of Giannis's playmaking profile, the 3rd most to someone of his scoring profile, and the 6th most to his shooting profile. So all in all, really, really good matchup for Giannis and his assists. That is our 7th play. Now we're on our 8th one. Nuggets versus Kings. I'm taking Domantas Sabonis over 19.5 points. This is best offered at minus 105 odds. I'm actually going to have 2 picks for this game. This is the one that we're putting a full unit on. The next one is a lean. But until further notice, you want to take your big, beefy centers against the Nuggets. And also, I really like the fact that Sabonis has been playing really well recently. He's technically only gone over this number in 4 of 10 games. Last game, he just had 30 points. And in 3 of the games he missed, he was right there, 19 points, 18 points, and 17 points. And in 3 of the games he missed, which, yeah, that's still an under, and that counts as an under. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to consistently go under when he's been getting so close. And as I mentioned, great matchup against the Nuggets. On the entire year, the Nuggets have given up the 6th most points per game to centers in the NBA. Over the past 30 days, that number shoots up. Now they're giving up the 3rd most points per game to centers. And then in the past 2 weeks, it gets even worse. They've given up the 2nd most points per game to centers over the past 2 weeks. And just look at the recent centers and the stats they've put up against the Nuggets, right? And last night, Anthony Davis hung 32 on the Nuggets. Previously, DeAndre Ayton scored 27. Brook Lopez cashed his over point total, scoring 19. Chet scored 18. Overall, 3 straight centers against the Nuggets have cashed their point total over under, and 5 of their last 8 as well. So I like backing Sabonis. He's been really, really good recently. I hope he continues to be really good for us. So we're 8 picks deep. We only have 2 left. And now it's time to talk to you about the premium subscription giveaway that I already hinted at. So if you want a chance to win a premium subscription for 1 year of the Betting Pros app, all you need to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel, which hopefully you're already doing, and then comment as well. You do those two things, and that's how you can get entered. We're going to announce a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to, if you could also turn those notifications on as well, so you can be alerted when new episodes drop. But 1 year premium subscription giveaway. I already talked a ton about how I use it. Again, subscribe, comment, and that's how you get entered. 2 picks left. Again, this is in the same game, Nuggets versus Kings. De'Aaron Fox under 23.5 points. This is best offered on DraftKings at -105 odds. This is such a low number for Fox. And the reason why I'm leaving it as a lean is because it goes against my betting strategy of fading recent results. And I worry that this just might be too square and that Fox is going to end up having a good game because he is a good offensive player. He's a talented player. He's just been playing horribly recently. And honestly, until further notice, he's basically just an auto fade, at least for his points. I know someone, Justin, asked in the chat about his rebounds and assists. That I haven't really kept as much track of, but he just has not been playing well or scoring a lot recently. He's gone under this number in 4 of his last 6 games, in 6 of his last 10. And the fact that he's gone some of those games, like he hasn't even scored half of what his over-under is, right? Last game, in what should have been a great game for Fox against the Pistons, he had 12 points. His over-under was 26.5. Prior to that, in admittedly a difficult matchup, he scored 19 points against the Cavs. Earlier in the past 10 games for him, he scored 13 points against the Heat, I think 16 against the Grizzlies. Just hasn't been playing well. And now he gets a really tough matchup against the Nuggets. The Nuggets defense, who I mentioned, not good at guarding centers, really good at guarding point guards, right? They're allowing the fewest points per game to someone of Fox's shooting profile, second fewest to someone of his scoring profile, and the third fewest to someone of his playmaking style. Just a tough matchup all around for Fox, who's clearly taken a step back from aggressive scoring and stuff like that. So let's hope that continues. Let's hope he can cash this play for us. And our last play of the evening, Pelicans versus Lakers. CJ McCollum over 21.5 points. Best offered at -119 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So I really, really like this play individually. Kind of similar to the Hornets-Bucks game. The only reason why it's a lean and not an official play is just because I need to see the injury report and I need to see who's actually playing in this game. The Lakers played last night, so they're on a second half of a back-to-back. And LeBron and AD both played relatively heavy minutes, right? LeBron played 35. Anthony Davis played 38. Now, the problem with these two, they're listed as questionable for every single game, whether they've had a month of rest or whether it's on the second night of a back-to-back. They're always listed as questionable. And the assumption is they're always going to play. We don't actually know that until an hour, 90 minutes before game time. And I could see this being a game where they actually do get ruled out because of how much they played yesterday. And then on the Pelicans side, both Zion and Valanciunas are listed as questionable. So we'll need to see whether they play or not. Mostly the Zion news. If Zion doesn't play, then that would obviously help CJ McCollum a lot. If Zion ends up missing, and even if he plays, this in general is a really good matchup for CJ McCollum against a Lakers team that allows a ton of pull-up shooting to lead guards and lead ball handler pick and roll guys as well. This could be a good game for both CJ and Brandon Ingram as well, as they have similar scoring profiles, with Brandon Ingram being a little bit more in the mid-range and less on the outside than CJ McCollum. But if you wanted to just parlay both of their points, 20 plus for something, I think that could be pretty good. The Lakers are listed as the second best matchup, both for point guard point props and for point guard 3-point props as well. So they're good for both. McCollum has cleared this in 4 of his last 5 games against the Lakers. Now, I did take out one game in that stretch because he played limited minutes due to an injury. The games in which he actually plays his normal allotment of minutes, again, 4 of his last 5, and that does date back to last year as well. Once we have injury clarity on this one, I will let everybody know whether I'm gonna upgrade it, I should say, to a full unit play or not. And if you wanted to lock it in right now, I do really like this play. So I'm not just giving out leans that I don't like. There are just reasons behind the leans as opposed to the full unit plays. But matchup wise, this is a great play. And that's all we got. 10 bangers for you guys to lock in, 6 or 5.5 units risk. Let's hope we can have an improvement on our Wednesday show. Appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure to like the video, like the stream, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel, all that stuff. Have a great weekend, and we will catch you on Monday.